Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody who listens to the pod. Whether that's YouTube, Spotify, or through our Discord as a patron. I'm Tony. I'm with me as usual. Ben, are you there, mate?
Hi, mate. How are you doing? Have a good Christmas?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, really nice. And returning after a sickie last week, James. You there, mate?
I'm here, Tony.
How's it going, pal?
Yeah, good. I'm glad we weren't podding yesterday because I was ill again.
Ill, that means hungover, doesn't it?
It does.
Alcoholic flu.
Yeah.
I spend most of my Christmas periods a bit hungover, so I know the feeling. For anybody who isn't part of the Patreon, doesn't support us yet, if you are interested in getting early access to the pods, seeing our articles, and joining in on the Discord forum, get yourselves across to patreon.com/DreamTeamTonic. Just throw that out there. Right, busy period, Christmas. It's good to have the normal footy back. Obviously, we've not touched on it yet. It's the first episode since it returned. So, James, how did your team do, mate?
I had a stonking week. Every single one of my players returned. That's rare that you can say that, I think. 136 points. Well happy with that. Maybe my fortunes are turning, Tony.
Hopefully, mate.
So in goal, I've got De Gea. In defence, well, he got 8 points. Trippier 17, Shah 16, Maguire 5, Lindelof 5. In midfield, Saka 8, Almiron 8, Fernandez 5. Up front, Rashford 18, Haaland 26, and Salah 20. Obviously, there's a few glaring issues that need to be addressed in that side. So at the moment, I'm thinking of taking out Fernandez for Odegaard and Maguire for Botman, tripling up on the Newcastle defence.
Yeah.
I might have a play around with it later, see if I can squeeze KDB in there, but I don't think I can. Not without getting rid of somebody I want to keep. So I would like to get him in, but the budget on that side's not great. Yeah, and obviously I'm going to have to get rid of Lindelof as well, but he's likely to go up in price, so I'll keep him tonight and maybe look at that tomorrow or over the weekend.
Yeah, see what's available.
Yeah.
Lovely score, 136.
Thank you.
Right across to my side. Not quite as high as that. 123. In my side. In the goal, a man who's well talked about around the Discord at the moment. Bazuna, -2. One of his teammates, Perot, -2. Alongside Byrne, 13 points. Trippier, 17 points. Midfield went for a 4-man midfield. De Bruyne, 15. Fernandez, 5. Almiron, 8. Ward-Prowse missed penalty, but then put the rebound in. Got himself 5 points. A bit of a punt for the Lincoln game, these Southampton lads. Up top, Salah, 20 points. Haaland, 26 points. And Che Adams, 18 points. Decent enough. 964 it's on this team at the minute. It's not doing too badly. And obviously now it's time to punt the Southampton lads out. I'm hoping we'll be able to get rid of them before the Brighton game, but obviously the rules transpired to be different than what we're used to. So it made it a double gamble, but it weren't the worst fixture in the world, Brighton at home anyway. So it turned out it was the worst fixture in the world, but on paper it wasn't. Obviously Adams did the job in first game anyway against Lincoln. So yeah, the 2 transfers I've already got penciled in. So we're doing my transfers earlier today. It's Ward-Prowse to Saka and Perot to Luke Shaw, which leaves me 1.4 million in bank. I'm going to re-look after the pod about Bazuna and see if there's anything I can do there. But I think I'd have to lose somebody else. I'm probably going to leave Adams in for his price rise. It's pointless taking him out. I'll look at that again tomorrow. Although it might counteract anyway because of someone I want. Maybe like a Rashford would probably go up in price anyway. So I have to look into that. Yeah, 1.4 million bank. Happy week. Decent. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I got 118. Got up front. I've got Vardy. Got me 8 points. He played against MK Dons, but he got taken off early. So I was thinking, oh, happy days, he'll play in the league.
Yeah.
Didn't start the league match, and that was a shambles. Don't want to talk about
No.
that.
I didn't think you did.
Yeah, came on in the second half, but he was quite a bright spark of the team. But we didn't create a goal. So yeah, I was hoping for a couple of goals in the MK Dons game and then move him on, like you said
Yeah.
before the Premier League game started. But with the funny game we had this week, it couldn't do that. I've got Salah and Haaland as well up front. So 20 points for Salah, 26 for Haaland. Midfield, De Bruyne, 15 points. Almiron got me 8. Barnes, nil point. He's come
Yeah.
back like he's had a few Christmas dinners, him.
And so is the Leicester defence by the looks of it, Ben.
I know, mate. They're all napping, weren't they? But
They've been
too
at the
much
same party I've been
turkey.
at.
He was on fire before the World Cup, and then he's come back and he was crap against MK Dons and he was crap against Newcastle.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, I took a punt on Barnes in a few sides as well.
Yeah. And in defence, I've got double Newcastle. I've got Trippier 17 points and Shaw 16. And in the other two defenders, I've got United defenders. So I've got Maguire 5 points and Lindelof 5 points. So Maguire was ill for the cup match, and then he came off the bench in the second game. And Lindelof started in the cup match, but then was ill for the second game.
Yeah.
So
It's frustrating that because it's going to
Yeah.
be a lot more points.
Yeah.
So I've got my eye on moving them on. United play pretty early on in the week, so I'll get the price rises off them, and then I'll probably be moving them on depending on the lineup of the United side. And then my mate Baz in goal, Bazuno. Oh, the fixtures are there, weren't they, for Southampton? Good fixtures. Cheap as chips, 1.4. It enabled me to have a bit of cash for later on if I wanted to upgrade anywhere on the pitch. But I'm moving him on for De Gea. So De Gea got a clean sheet, so he'll be going up 0.3. I think Bazuna will be going down about 0.1 or 2. So I just want to get it done now. And then I've also got Barnes coming out for Odegaard, who had a cracking game. He'll be going up 0.3. And Rashford, I'm bringing him in for Vardy. He'll be going up 0.3 as well. I'm not sure Vardy will be going up because he blanked in the second game. I'm not too sure. So I'm probably better doing it now than waiting.
Yeah.
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 Like I say, once you made them 3 transfers, which are all good transfers, aren't they,
Yeah.
for the players that are coming in, you've only got the Maguire and Lindelof to sort out then, because if Mortis and Varane are back, that's them out the side, isn't it?
They'll be going anyway, I think. It just depends on the who starts, like you said.
Yeah. But Dowell's only 3.5, isn't he?
Yeah, well, we don't know what's happening with him. He could be out for a few days, could be out for 6 weeks. Still not heard any news. Wan-Bissaka's been playing. He had a cracking week, didn't he? 2.4 million.
Yeah.
But you bring him in and then Dallow's back, he's going to come out, isn't he? So it's a bit tricky.
Yeah. We need to hear that Dowell news, don't we?
Yeah.
Tricky one.
Probably better
Nice
off
week.
going ashore or something like that. He's
more or less
like nailed
didn't
in the defence.
Well, that Malassi had a good game, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll keep Shaw out the side, though.
No.
Yeah.
Shaw's centre back now, isn't he?
All right, yeah, he did play centre half, didn't he?
Yeah, first time in his career. As a like in a 2. He's played in a 3 at the back before, but not in a 2. Did all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Who have we got next?
Wolves,
Wolves.
12:30 kickoff, so it's pretty early on in the week to change it up.
Excellent. Excellent. That's what we need. Right. Onto the listener questions. We've got quite a few this week, obviously, with the return of the football. So let's jump straight in. My mate Aman, who were on last week, is back with a question. And is his stats versus eye test. Should we follow the stats, like XG, to bring Nunez in? Or does the eye test tell a different story? James, your mate Nunez?
Well, he's getting so many chances. Surely he's going to haul soon. Klopp's come out and backed him massively in the press conferences, etc. Yeah, I mean, he has missed some crazy big chances, but he's getting so many that I think he'll bang a few in. And he was in good form before the World Cup. If I had him, I'd keep him. I'm not sure I'd bring him in if I didn't have him, but I would definitely keep hold of him for a bit longer. It's too early to be jettisoning him already. Obviously, his main rival in that third striker spot is Rashford, isn't it? So that's a tricky call because Rashford looks in good form. But yeah, I think he'll bang. He's a confidence player, isn't he? So it probably just needs a goal or two, and he could get a hat trick the week after with the amount of chances he's getting.
Yeah,
He's playing Leicester next, so he'll be all right then.
Yeah, so definitely don't get rid of him before Leicester.
Oh,
he's a proper Andy Cole, isn't he? I say that in the nicest way as well, because Andy Cole were brilliant. We had Andy Cole at Rovers, and yeah, he'd have 5 chances a game and only score 2 or 1 or 2 goals, but he'd score, and he's there to miss them.
Don't let Andy Cole hear you say that, because I saw some headlines where he was like, "Don't compare me to Nunez."
Well,
He's not happy about it.
Well, I mean, we'll see after he's done out a few seasons in Premier League. He might turn out to be as good as a goal scorer as Andy Cole, because he was top drawer, Andy Cole.
Yeah.
So he's there to miss him. And I did hear a stat, or read a stat, and I didn't delve too much into it, so I don't know whether it's that precise. But Nunez has assisted or scored in 20 games in a row for Liverpool.
Is he?
In 20 appearances, or 20 Premier League appearances, I don't know what it was, whether it was 20 in all competitions, he's either assisted or scored in all the games. Now, I didn't go into it. I just read the stat and I thought it was pretty impressive. I think sometimes, obviously, missing 3 or 4 chances can blur the vision of actually he's set up a goal or he scored earlier in game. All right, he did miss 4, but... So, yeah, he's probably due a massive haul. Like you say, Leicester up next. Yeah. Like you said, they look like they've been on them Christmas puddings.
oh God.
But yeah, he's obviously the eye test. The eye test tells you a lot, doesn't it? But I think he's due a haul. Right, Paulie. He's way behind in his mini league, 100 plus points, but he's got a very big budget advantage, and he's got a budget of 61.5 million, which is a huge budget to say he's so far behind. I don't know who the guy who is above, but having such a massive budget, you've got the points to follow that. But he's saying with so many good cheap options like Odegaard and Rashford coming to the fore, how does he make his larger budget work against the guy at the top? Ben, what would you do, mate?
Well, I'd say don't worry at the moment. Obviously, at the moment, there's a lot of options with no European games and all this Carabao Cup. So you're getting to look at teams like you've got Che Adams in your team, haven't you? So you can have a look at players outside the European teams at the moment. But once you get deeper into into Europe and to the cups, he will have the advantage over his rivals because he has the bigger budget.
Yeah.
So he'll be able to get the premium players in, and his rivals won't be able to afford that. It's still 2/3 of the season to go, so I won't worry too much about that at the moment. 100 points isn't a lot. Over the season, you can score up to 2,500 over 2,500 points in a season. So it's not a lot of points really. Still early days.
Yeah, James.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Ben says. That's a good point. The only thing I'd add to that would be there are some high priced players that not everyone can afford. I don't see that many teams with Bruno Fernandes in. There's not many teams with Cancelo and KDB.
Yeah,
And a lot of people have gone for the likes of Rashford in the leagues that I look at anyway, instead of going for Harry Kane. So there are some pretty good differentials that you can get in there if you've got that budget that nobody with a lesser budget would be able to afford. So I think you are in a strong position. And 100 points, you can get that back, no probs.
yeah, completely agree with both you. One thing I'd add is, like you said, your budget's going to come into play in like a month or so's time. In the run up to that, if there is any injuries to some of these cheaper options, and then, like you say, so he's got a Rashford, but then Rashford goes off injured, and the next thing you know, you're thinking, right, Harry Kane, you might be able to afford to bring Harry Kane in. He might then be looking at somebody in a 4 million bracket with his money, whereas you could be looking to bring in a Harry Kane or a Salah, whoever you didn't have. So it could your budget could come into play earlier, but I just sit tight and make the right decisions up until them European games kick in. And like I say, there's a lot of good players that aren't highly owned because they come at a premium. So people with a lesser budget are less likely to have them. Yeah. David 87. Differentials for January for those that are lingering a bit lower in their mini leagues. There's a lot of template teams around currently with a forward line of Haaland, Salah, and Rashford, accompanied by Newcastle blocks at the back. Then some differentials, mate, for January.
Like I was saying before, don't worry about templates. Still early days. But if you do want to go a bit differential, so we've got, you say Rashford's template. He's only in 32.9% of the top 1K. So it's not that much of a template player, considering when Salah is in 82% and Haaland's in 98.4%.
Yeah.
I know. Did you see before the Leeds Man City game? The guy who was top of the leaderboard, he didn't have Haaland in his team.
Yeah.
He had Wilson and Adams, I think, or something like that. And he had a full Newcastle block. So if he put Haaland in now, he'd be flying. Was it? I don't know how many points he got in the end. It was a lot of points, 26 or something.
Yeah, he did all right.
So differential, like Kane's 30% owned as well. That's not a lot. Nketiah's 5% owned. I know he's a bit dodgy because he's so cheap, but if you haven't got a big budget, you can bring him in for a little bit. Even like you've got Adams in your team, he's in 6.8% of the top 1K. So he's crazy. In more teams than Nketiah. Wilson's in 9%. Tell you a big differential for these next few games. Mitrovic. He's only in 0.6% of the top 1K. He's banging the goals in. He's got 10 goals in the league so far. 31 goals so far this calendar year. 5 more than any other player in the top 4 divisions. I really fancy putting him in a couple of teams. The fixtures for Fulham are brilliant. So they've got Southampton, Leicester, then Hull in the Cup, Chelsea. It's a double game week. Newcastle, and then they start playing end of January. They've got Tottenham, Chelsea. But so you could like move on to another striker then.
The early games are pretty decent, aren't they?
Sorry?
The early games are pretty decent.
Yeah.
The only thing worth noting there, of course, is one yellow card away from suspension. So there's a bit of a risk there.
Yeah. Good point.
He loves the yellow card as well, doesn't he?
He used to be awful when he was at Newcastle. He used to be red cards every week.
Angry man.
Yeah, and also I noticed I was looking at the block defenses on FF stuff. Newcastle, if you wanted to beat the Newcastle block, you only needed 3 Newcastle defenders. And but the other surprise was if you wanted to beat the Man U block in the top 1K, you only needed 1 defender. So, and that's the same with Man City. So Man United 0.5%, Man City 0.33, and Arsenal is 0.94. So if you get two of them defenders in, you'll beat that block. So it's not that 10 player you think it is.
That leads on to the next question from Magoo. Best defence block for January going into February. Man United looking good now, but then have City, Arsenal, and then Barca in Feb. So you've had to choose a block, Ben, from now, other than Newcastle.
Other than
Obviously,
Newcastle,
other than Newcastle.
for me,
Or I mean, if you think that, obviously, because David was saying about the Newcastle block being a bit template with the 3 forwards, so he's trying to go up against that.
yeah, I really really like the Man U fixtures. Wolves, Bournemouth, Everton, Charlton, Man City, and Arsenal. It's really good to start with, and then they're obviously going to play Charlton, so they'll go through to the semi-finals if they beat them. So they'll get the double semi-final leg as well. And obviously Newcastle, my favourite 2 defences at the moment. Man City are a bit up in the air at the moment. We don't know who's going to start. Laporte was a shock; he didn't start yesterday. Cancelo didn't start. We played Lewis, didn't they? So it's a bit dodgy, Man City at the moment. And obviously Arsenal are decent, but they're not in the Carabao Cup. So
Yeah.
What do you think?
Reckon, James?
Well, I've spent a lot of time looking at this, and I can't see beyond that Newcastle. If you're going to go for a block, I would say the Newcastle block is the one. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday away, Leicester and Fulham at home, Palace away, and then in February, because he says going into Feb, they've got West Ham at home and Bournemouth away before the European fixtures start. So that's a good run of games, right up until the European fixtures. So you can you might want to, by the time you get to sort of mid-February, if you've got 3 or 4 Newcastle defenders, you probably might want to consider moving away from 1 or 2 of those at least to get the extra fixtures from the European games. So I just can't see beyond that Newcastle. I mean, United are all right for a few games, but then it gets pretty tough for them. So Newcastle are looking good for that block, I think.
Yeah, Newcastle United are probably the teams to be with, aren't they? Arsenal with Brighton, Newcastle, Oxford. No cup, no Carabao Cup though for Arsenal. Which we're looking into as well. City are so busy, aren't they, with fixtures? But you can't nail down the defence, and they come at a premium. So there's a couple of issues there surrounding blocking on a City team. Have you got the budget and you're willing to take the risk? But yeah, I mean, who knows what Pep's going to do? Yeah, Newcastle. Again, the ownership was, did you say, was just over 2.17 or something?
Yeah.
So with 2 Newcastle defenders, you're probably going to more or less sit pretty. Yeah. But obviously 3, you are going to make small inroads. There's probably quite a few teams with 4 out there, maybe even 5. Right. Next one from Aman. Best Bazuna replacements.
Hey.
It's only been a week. Go on, Ben. You take this away, mate.
Anybody. What an awful goalkeeper.
What was it? 3 minutes in?
Scored an own goal.
And he threw it into his own net.
Yeah. and then he was awful against Brighton as well. I was talking to my Saints mate today, and he was like, "He's just not good enough." And we were like, how has he come through at Man City? How has he got through in this academy? It's like so strange. But
Right.
like it was worth the risk with the fixtures they had, and you could still sit on him if you had the bollocks to sit on Southampton, but they just look awful. Southampton have got Fulham, Forest, Crystal Palace, Man City, then Everton, Villa, Brentford, Wolves. They're good fixtures, but they don't look very good. They look awful. So as our man is the richest man in Dream Team,
Yeah, it don't matter for him. He could
yeah,
go anywhere, couldn't he?
I'd go for Pope if I was him. But if you're an average Joe, I'd say De Gea, 3.4 million.
Yeah.
The enablers are a bit iffy. Like Ward, I would have said Ward 2.6 before he's going to go down as well, so you can get him cheaper. Obviously, the Liverpool fixture's tricky, but after that, the fixtures are all okay. So they've got Liverpool, Fulham, Gillingham, Newcastle, Forest, Brighton, Villa. But I was looking at the cheap goalkeepers. Forest have got a nice run after Chelsea. They've got
Yeah.
Chelsea, Southampton this double game week, Blackpool, Wolves, then Leicester, Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham. Henderson, 2.3 million could be an enabler if you wanted a goalie, but if you needed a cheap goalie. But there's so many good cheap players at the moment. You don't really need a cheap goalkeeper. You might do in a month or so.
Yeah.
Get your Harry Kanes in and your Cancelos and that. But yeah, at the
That's the
moment
thing when
you
you've
don't
got
need
like
one.
Nketiah, Odegaard,
Yep.
Rashford, even saving a bit of money up top.
The
I mean, I'd
defense.
even say Saka at 4.2
Yeah.
this week was so cheap. So, I mean, they're saving you money from like that's a premium player you're putting in there at 4.2
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
He's easy a £6 million player.
Yeah, and all the Newcastle defenders, apart from Trippier's cheap. Man
Yeah.
United's pretty cheap. So there's quite good options.
Yeah. What do you reckon, James? Are you looking into some Bazuna replacements?
I have been, unfortunately. So I've gone David De Gea in most cases. I think I brought Kepa in as one when I replaced him. But I mean, if budget was no option, I certainly can. I think my top four in order would be Pope, De Gea, Edison, and then Kepa. Obviously, Edison's ridiculously expensive. Kepa's only 3 million, so he's probably the cheapest option out of the decent potential keepers. But then they play Man City twice, and you look at their fixtures, and you're like, well, I don't know. I'm just not screaming clean sheets, and Potter likes to rotate that defence at every opportunity. So they haven't really got a settled back line, have they? So I think De Gea is probably that's who I've mainly gone for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pope's quite expensive now, and he's like 4.1 million.
Yeah.
De Gea's good $500,000 cheaper than that. So yeah, that would be my choices.
Yeah, Edison's it's just too much uncertainty in the Man City defence for me. He's got less points than Pope, Alisson, and De Gea, and Kepa's just behind him. He only played half of the season, and he's like a few points behind him. So it's like he doesn't know whose back line is. You know, usually a good team has a very steady back line, don't they?
Yeah.
And at the moment, Man City, I don't know what he's doing. He's just mixing it up all the time. Pep. Hence the roulette.
Yeah, but hopefully that calms down and it's just due to World Cup exploits and people coming back in different conditions and stuff. You know, it's always to do that and it will settle down a little bit. But
They've got 5 good centre backs now, haven't they? Really. So
yeah,
who's going to play every game?
Did you see Pep was saying that Calvin Phillips was too fat, and he came back.
Yeah.
He came back from the World Cup carrying too much weight, and now he's saying, "No, I didn't mean that. He's a sexy man. He's got a sexy body." Was his quotes today? I thought it's a bit bizarre.
yeah, you can come out with some weird stuff. Right, Tomo, due to limited budget, I can't get both Salah and KDB. Which do I go for? KDB has 2 more fixtures in January, but there's the concern of Pep Roulette. James, Salah or KDB, mate?
Oh God, that is a tricky one, to be honest. So City have got the 5 fixtures to Liverpool's 4, but between the 6th and the 19th, it's a 4 for 2. So you could jump on and jump off potentially. I mean, I think Salah's the better option because goals are more rewarded in Dream Team. If you only get 2 points for an assist, Haaland's going to be getting all the goals. KDB will chip in with the odd screamer, but he's not going to do that every week. Salah's on pens, KDB's not. It's a tough one given the fixture differences. I would like to hear what Ben has to think of that one because he's the fixture man. What do you reckon, Ben?
I'd say downgrade somewhere else, mate. Get them both. I'd definitely get both of them if you can. Man City, if they go through in the cup, they've got a double game week, a double semi-final in the League Cup as well. So it's another extra 2 games. So yeah, get them both. Downgrade somewhere else, even if you have to put a cheap goalkeeper like Bazunu. There's nothing worse than watching the big hitters bang the goals in, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, I can't afford him. I wish I had him." I did early in the season. I thought, I've got a couple of cheapies here. I had Martinelli and Scamacca in my pod team, and they were both on form. And then Salah and Kane weren't playing well, so I took them out. And then as soon as I took them out, Salah's decided, I'm going to start playing now. What was that? In October he started, or November he started playing.
Yeah.
So that hurt my pod team. It's like dropped off a cliff now. So that just tells you, don't take your premium players out of your team.
Yeah, definitely not. Like I say, City, the quantity of fixtures they've got. And I know you say about Pep Roulette, but De Bruyne's pretty safe from that.
Yeah.
If he's fit, he plays. But then, like James says, Salah's got the penalties. What I would say is that Salah's crossing to Nunez and De Bruyne's is crossing to Haaland. I don't know. Do you think when Nunez plays, do you think Salah's a little less likely to score? Do you think he plays predominantly more out wide, and he's probably more concentrated assisting into the middle? Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't think so. I think Nunez creates so many chances for those around him that Salah can benefit from that. And as we saw in the last game, he did benefit from that. And Salah's effectively still playing on the right side of the front three, cutting in. Salah's not generally been, as if people keep saying, well, stick Salah in the middle, but he's not proven himself there. Yeah. So otherwise he probably would be there. So no, I don't necessarily think Nunez will have a detrimental effect on Salah. He might do, but from what I'm seeing at the moment, Nunez is creating a hell of a lot of chances. He's really, people can't handle him. He's so quick. And his running is causing havoc for defenders. So I think we look a better side with him in it, even though he's spurning a lot of good chances at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Adama Nunez.
I mean, like you say, the correct answer is you have both Salah and KDB. So what I want to do, Tomo, is to send your team over to us so we can have a look at your team, and we'll see where really you should be downgrading to try and get both of them in. If you want to do that, mate, just give us a message on the Discord, and we'll have a look. That'll settle that one. Right, a person who's been up for debate, obviously not starting since World Cup. FPL Pie Chat on Twitter has said, I have Cancelo, and should I keep or hold? Keep, hold, transfer out, or use the funds elsewhere? What do you reckon? What are you doing with Cancelo, James? I don't know if he's in any of your sides, so whether you took a punt for that price.
I don't have. I think I might have one Cancelo across all my 10 sides. I think it was in a lot of cases it was a toss up between Cancelo or KDB, and I don't think I think KDB is the better option. Yeah. If I could afford him, I probably would have him. If I had him, I'd probably stick with him for a bit longer because I think he will play, and he's shown that he can be explosive.
Yeah.
I think if we went another couple of games, I would twist, but at the moment, I would stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got him in a team. I think I'm definitely holding him. He's going to go down 0.3 this Thursday, Friday morning. So I'm going to wait to see the lineups on Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff. So at the moment, I'm sticking with him. If he's not in the team, I might move the money around and bring some other players in.
Yeah. I think obviously if you've got him, you just got to stick with him. The decision to put him in, you made that decision for a reason.
Yeah.
I think he's quite lowly owned in the top 1K as well. So he's quite a differential. So
Didn't
if
you
he does
say
start,
22%, James?
I will tell you any second.
what have I got to?
So overall ownership is Cancelo is 22%. Yeah,
He's 12% owned in the top 1K.
yeah.
So he's, I mean, it's not often he's a differential,
Differential.
but at that price, and then him coming down to possibly 6.5 on Friday morning, I might be looking at bringing him in if he plays at the weekend. So yeah, it's one of them. I think a lot of people, especially in the top 1K, if your budget wasn't like Aman's, I think, like you say, with a choice between Cancelo and KDB, especially if you have Haaland and Salah, it's a lot of money for everybody. So yeah, I don't think I've had him in too many teams, maybe a couple, but yeah, I went without him. I went with KDB and Haaland, and I think that was, well, it's turned out to be the better option. Yeah, stick or twist. Oh, sorry, we had the same question as well there from BCFC Jacko. So hopefully that answered that for you, mate. Yeah, stick if you've got him. Aman's back with another. Newcastle blocks are killing me. Do I recruit them? I hope other defences can match or surpass them. I think we've touched a lot on the blocks so far, so hopefully you got all the information out of there, Aman. DT Patrick, are you guys already planning your strategy for February? Will you be holding transfers back to attack Feb? And who are the teams and players you'll be targeting, which some of us may not be considering? James, are you planning for Feb?
No, it's
Yeah.
too far ahead. No, I'm not. But I would say if you've got a load of non-European players, make sure you hold back some transfers to
Yeah.
get European players on board, if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit far away at the minute, but obviously keep your eye on teams that are still in the cup in Europe, like you just said, and teams that are out because they're going to have less fixtures. It's all about the fixture count. Yeah, so whoever's still in the cups are going to have more fixtures. So just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, definitely. Like James says about the holding the transfers back. If you've got a lot of non-European players, you're going to want to start that transition. Probably a few of your January transfers. Transition across back to the European playing teams and the teams that have gone far in the cup competitions. You just have that in mind. But yeah, it's a little early to plan team wise, and because we don't know what's going to be going on there, especially with foreign players, injuries, suspensions. But yeah, obviously it's a question for nearer to time, mid-January. Probably we'll have a lot better idea. Another one from DT Patrick. Are Arsenal's tough 4 out of 5 next fixtures putting anybody off the players? For me, I mean, I watched Arsenal quite a bit this season, and obviously we lost quite a lot of Arsenal viewers, listeners over the last few seasons. But I've had nothing but good things to say about them this year. They are beginning to maybe look fixture proof, especially the forward line. Obviously, the tough fixtures, you're never confident that I'll block about a team, even if that's Man City, it doesn't matter. But going forward, Saka, Martinelli, I know obviously Jesus is out now, but Nketiah is coming at a nice cheap price. Odegaard's having an absolute blinder of the season. These players, yeah, I think they're going to score points against anybody, so it doesn't put me off. The fixtures definitely don't put me off. We can probably see through my transfers that I'll be making this coming week is a lot of there's a lot of Sakas in there, Odegaards. So yeah, don't put me off. What about you, James?
I totally agree, Tony. I had a lot of Odegaards, despite what you might call trickier fixtures. I've got even more now. I wouldn't necessarily be looking at their defence. That midfield though has got some serious bargains in it. So yeah, no, I don't. I wrote down here fixture proof to a certain degree. So yeah, don't be afraid to bring in those midfielders. There's some bargains there. Possibly, I don't have I don't have any Arsenal defenders at the moment though. So with those fixtures, I think they might concede the odd goal. When they've got through that tough run, I'll probably be looking at bringing in some.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, you guys covered it pretty well. Defensively, I have no Arsenal players, but midfielders, I've got Odegaard. Saka's decent, and Nketiah's good price. Martinelli's a good price, but when you've got Nketiah there for $2 million cheaper, it's a bit of a gift. If you're desperate for, if you're low on cash, you can't afford, say, a Rashford. Nketiah's a good option, I think. Nailed in the front line at the minute.
Yeah, should be getting plenty of minutes up there.
Yeah.
Another option. I know they spoke about putting Martinelli through the middle a few times, but I don't think Nketiah is going to get his turn now. It's only fair he signed a long-term contract in the summer, so yeah, it's his time to shine. Got a goal. So yeah, fair play to him. Right, Matt Woolley. Is it worth even trying to second guess a plan for lineups and rotation in a double cup week in early January? Yeah, it is. It's probably not worth it, Matt. I mean, that'd be an absolute minefield. What's going to be going on there? The rotation. I mean, yeah, it's going to be roulette everywhere, isn't it? You reckon, James?
I wrote down 2 words: fool's errand. And no, it's going to be difficult. You might get to see. So on the Friday we've got Man United versus Everton. So you get to see the team sheets for that. If you haven't burnt your transfers, well, that will be using a new set of transfers then, won't it? So you won't be able to plan for it. I think what Matt was trying to suggest, is there any way we can second guess it with probably with the transfers that we have remaining? No, I don't think you can. It's going to be a high amount of rotation. What you can do is keep an eye on those team lineups, though, and there might be some opportunities. You know, if you see that Harry Kane starting against Portsmouth, you know, you could potentially, if you've got the funds to do it, bring him in, for instance. But I wouldn't be trying to second guess it. I would just keep an eye on those fixtures and look out for any opportunities. Or, you know, you might get I suppose the managers might give us a steer on what lineups they're going to put out. Might get an inside sight into it. But if they go 3-0 up, they're going to come off, aren't they? They'll bring those star players off. So it's always a tricky one, that FA Cup round.
Yeah, always. Reckon, Ben?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well again. It's cool. We're going to have new transfers. I'd just say, be careful with these 1 week punts when you get into January, because you'll end up getting stuck with someone you don't want. I can't think off the top of my head someone who won't normally play. Will start in the cup, and you think, oh, he's playing someone really bad. So you think, oh, I'll put him in for a week. But then he won't start again in the league, and then you're going to be like, I need to get him back out. So it's just 2 transfers. It's just not worth it. You want to be like you say, Kane. If Kane starts against Portsmouth, that's good because he'll play in the league games. You want players like that are going to be nailed in the team. So, like you say, keep your eye on the lineups, listen to the pressers. It's a bit far off at the minute to be thinking about that. But yeah, we'll have a bit more news by then when we get to the FA Cup third round.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Right, Basbestos been on the Discord. Who is the cheapest player in the game by position you could realistically see as a possibility for your teams from now until mid-March? Who's stay safe in your side? Who's quite a cheap lad? Who do you reckon might survive? Like the European players coming into contention and stuff like that. Like who's gonna stay as your enablers throughout the team?
I bet we've all got the same one.
Well, I think we've probably gone similar.
Hey,
Definitely, yeah. Go on then, Ben.
Odegaard's 2.9 million. I think he's the
Yeah,
cheapest one for me at the moment. Yeah,
yeah. European fixtures as well.
yeah.
So
Captain
he's,
nailed in that team. Arsenal on fire. I think it's good.
yeah,
He's just behind Saka on the points. He's saving 1.3 million on Saka if you didn't want to spend the money and use it somewhere else as well.
yeah.
Is he the cheapest player in midfield that you could realistically see as a possibility in your team from now until mid-March, though? Which aren't there anyone? Isn't I think he was after who's the cheapest in each position that you could possibly see getting in your
In
team.
each position,
Yeah,
right?
I
Well,
mean, I don't think there's going to be anybody cheaper than Odegaard that would be a stay in your team until March. Would you?
until mid-March. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Odegaard's probably the cheapest. I can't see anybody below him. Similar price. Well, I say similar price. But what's he at now? Almiron.
Almiron's 3.3, isn't he at the moment? I think will be going up again probably.
3.3. I mean, you could probably say that he might hang around your team in midfield for a while.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think Odegaard takes that. I don't know how he's still so cheap. I don't know how he keeps losing his value. But yeah, he does. Obviously, what about a striker then?
Rashford,
Striker.
Rashford for me.
Yeah, Rashford for me.
and Ketia potentially because he
Yeah,
did say
definitely.
what realistically you could see as a possibility for your team.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
I've got
possibility.
Nketiah. I think he could be a bargain. I don't. I think I've got one or two Nketiahs across my 10 teams, not in my top teams. But he could be gold, couldn't he? At that price,
yeah,
2.3 million.
definitely.
Yeah. What about defence?
Struggling there a bit. I put down Lewis Dunk. He had a great couple of weeks. So I had him in one side. He got 17 points, I think, across the 2 games. In goal, it's a bit easier. I wouldn't go any lower than Kepa at 3 million. Just don't
Yeah.
see anyone there.
Just going back to got defenders. What about Doherty? 2.2 million. Not at the moment for me, but because Tottenham don't look very good. But he's very cheap, and what did he score? 4 goals in 3 friendlies before the
Yeah,
season started.
yeah.
Yeah,
We've
potential
been
there.
burnt here before, though, haven't we, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's why we play fixtures and form. Because Spurs don't look great, do they?
Yeah,
Not
you
defensively.
wouldn't be picking him for the for the clean sheets, would you? You'd be
No,
picking him for the
definitely
attacking
not, mate.
returns.
Definitely not.
Is it like the last 10 games they've gone behind? In the last 10 games, a lot of those they came back to draw or win. I don't think. In fact, I think they may not have even lost one. But doesn't bode well for clean sheets, does it?
No.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah, I had down Dan Burn at 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Because obviously that how well Newcastle are playing at the minute. They're solid, and he's nice and nailed at left back. To be fair, he seems they don't mind having a 7-foot giant at left back. And then Dalot, I mean, at 3.5 million, I still think he's cheap.
Yeah.
It's just his injury and how long that takes. But if he's back to fitness and back in that United side, he'd be someone who they'd probably keep for probably the season because they're a bit of a star man magnet as well. They're a
Yeah.
lot like Trippier. So Yeah, they're the two defend. And like you say, James Kepa, you can't really go much cheaper than him for a
Not
mainstay
for a
keeper.
top team, no.
No, so yeah, that'd be the lot. Right, that's questions covered. Um, just touch on the nice signing for Liverpool, which could affect rotation going forward. I know you've got a lot of injuries to Jota, Diaz, Firmino, um, but yeah, Cody Gakpo incoming
Yeah,
January.
exciting
Very,
addition.
yeah, very
Quite
impressive
quite
at World
happy to
Cup.
have him on board. He looks good. I've seen a lot of players and managers come out and say what a signing for that price. I mean, they was being back in the summer. The prices being talked about were twice what we paid. That said, he's coming from the Dutch league. The Dutch league we've seen before doesn't always, someone could look amazing and in the Dutch league and then come over here and be rubbish. But we don't make too many mistakes in the transfer market, so I've got high hopes for Cody. And he looked good in the World Cup, didn't he? Although
Yeah,
that doesn't also, again, all that doesn't always translate to being a good buy. But yeah, the only thing I would say is it is a bit odd that, well, we've got Jota to come back, Diaz to come back, both play on the left, where Cody can play across the front three. His
yeah,
predominant position is that left hand side. So it will be interesting to see what happens when we've got everyone fit. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly a great addition to the squad. If it was me, I would have paid I would have gotten a new central midfielder myself. But I'm not complaining. He looks good for that money.
yeah. I think if they're available, I don't think you can pass up on that player like that.
No, that's right.
Obviously, we know Liverpool probably do need a centre midfielder, but you can't let him just go by because you're after a different position. You got to buy him and probably bring someone in for centre mid as well. A lot of talk around Bellingham, which would be whoever signs Bellingham would be absolutely unbelievable signing for whatever money it'd be.
Definitely. I pray it's us because he looks amazing.
Yeah. And just obviously touch on the death of the legend today, Pele. Rest in peace, Pele. Obviously, sad to ever see a legend like him pass, but yeah. So
Only
all the best.
the only player to win 3 World Cups.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to probably happen ever again.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. If you are listening on YouTube, please can you hit the like and subscribe button and drop a comment. We'll get back to you. And also, if you're listening on Spotify or Anchor, could you please give us a rating? It helps us out. Thanks very much. Right, we've not read these out for a while with the World Cup break, but here's the Dream Team Tonic Cash League top 10. If you would like to do the honours, James.
In 10th, we've got Leo Reed. 9th, Harry Jones. 8th, Jake Bevan. 6th, Andy Allett. Also in joint 6th, Leo Reed. Tom Brindley in 5th. Lee Watson in 4th. Simon Davies in 3rd. Stephen Williams in 2nd. And at the top, Anthony Sutcliffe.
Get in.
Hey, still
Up
there.
there. Yeah, it were nerve-wracking having the reset after starting the season so well with that side. It's always nervous. It's like starting again, isn't it? So, the Newcastle block did me proud.
How many you got?
4.
4.
4. I think it Pope, Trippier, Botman, Byrne. Yeah, so 1-5-1 for the week for that team. There were some massive, massive scores out there. I think that was only like 600 in the country, that 1-5-1. I think there's some 170s, 180s, crazy scores about. So, yeah,
Great
happy.
start, mate.
Solid. Yeah, solid start back up to 180th. So, yeah, hoping to build on that. Like I said, I think every player, other than did he have Barnes in that side? Not too sure. Might have just been Barnes, who didn't score. So a lot of point threes going to be coming around. So the budget's going to build as well. So happy with that, mate.
Yeah.
Right, the DT Tonic Patreon League top 10. We've got in 10th Barry McCormack, in 9th Wayne Foster Crouch, in 8th Peter Franklin, in 7th Mark McKee, in 6th John Mellier, in 5th Nicholas Steetham, in 4th Tom Brindley, in 3rd Stephen Broughton, in 2nd Jake Bevan, and top of the shop Leotin on 1,094 points. Good score, mate. Flying high there. Nice 40-point cushion. And it's a massive, massive drop then to Steve Broughton in 3rd, isn't there? There's a couple of runaways there.
Yeah.
Flying Lee.
He
Hi,
is.
mate.
He is. Where's our names? There's 3 right on there, aren't there?
We've got to get on there before the end of the season, haven't we?
I've even got 2 teams in there, and this because I've got not my Patreon team, but yeah, yeah, well, right. So just a reminder to everyone, obviously, if you're having a bit of a stinker at the start to a season, we're going to do a second chance cash league, which starts from 6th of January. I've put the information out on Twitter. I think it's the pinned tweet on the at Dream Team Tonic. You get yourself across there. If you're not on Twitter, you want to drop us an email, you can do dreamteamtonic@outlook.com. Email you want to join the league if you're not on any social media. And obviously, part of the Discord, you should already have the information in the leagues and cup competitions tab. So get across there, get your money sent in. Will you please put the reference as second chance? That'd help. And yeah, let's try and get that league filled up and give everyone a chance to restart the season, basically, because I know there's quite a few people had a bit of a mare at the start. Also restarting this week is the DT Tonic Patreon Cup. And talking about mares, I've had an absolute one in that. I'm the only person to not score a single point so far in that. Although I've got better goal difference than 90% of people in it. So it just seems that I just fallen against the wrong sides at the wrong time. So
That's so unlucky, that.
it is. That's me out again in the group stages. Always next year. I'll be looking forward to next year. But yeah, that comes back. So I'll get the fixtures out for that on Friday before the games. So everyone could have a look at their opponents and stuff. This is the last group game. And then the knockouts start, the business end, which should be good. And that's all for tonight. Baz Bestos, we do apologise to your missus. You can pass on our apologies. And enjoy the show, mate. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, everyone.
See you soon.